What if some of the things you do every single day are quietly revealing how you think? Not your grades, not your vocabulary, and definitely not how intelligent you think you are. Sometimes, intelligence reveals itself in much smaller ways. In how you react when someone disagrees with you, how you process information, how quickly you jump to conclusions, and even how you behave when you're wrong. And here's the uncomfortable part. Some habits that feel completely normal can actually reveal weaknesses in the way you think. You might even recognize yourself in several of them. So, let's look at 8 habits you do every day that may reveal low intelligence and the psychology behind them. 1. Your mind can't be changed even when new evidence is presented. Have you ever noticed how some people would rather defend a bad opinion than admit they were wrong? You show them evidence, they dismiss it. You explain your reasoning, they move the goalpost. You give them proof. Somehow, they still find a way to defend their original position. And sometimes, the strangest part is that they aren't even defending the truth anymore. They're defending their ego. A flexible mind can change when new information appears. That's not weakness. It's actually an important part of good reasoning. Because being intelligent doesn't mean you're always right. It means you're capable of recognizing when you aren't. But when someone treats every correction like an attack, something changes. Instead of asking, could I be wrong? They're asking, how can I prove I'm still right? And those are 2 completely different ways of thinking. The next time you're proven wrong, pay attention to your first reaction. Do you become curious? Or do you immediately become defensive? Because sometimes, the way you react to being wrong reveals more about your thinking than being right ever could. 2. You think your opinions are facts. Have you ever noticed someone stating an opinion with so much confidence that you'd think they were presenting a scientific fact? They don't say, I think. They say, this is how it is. And when you ask them why, they can't actually explain it. They simply repeat the same opinion, louder and with even more confidence. The problem isn't having strong opinions. Everyone has them. The problem begins when you become unable to separate what you believe from what you actually know. Intelligent thinking requires you to recognize the difference between facts, assumptions, and personal opinions. You can believe something strongly and still admit, this is just what I think. That small distinction shows intellectual humility. But when every personal belief becomes an unquestionable fact, you stop investigating whether you're actually right. And once you stop questioning your own beliefs, learning becomes almost impossible. Because you can't learn from information you've already decided is wrong. 3. You get angry when someone asks questions. Imagine you're explaining something to someone, and they simply ask, but why? Instead of explaining, you get irritated. They ask another question, and now you're annoyed. Eventually, you tell them they're being difficult, when all they were doing was trying to understand what you were saying. This can reveal something important about the way you process information. Curiosity requires patience, and when someone asks you a question, it gives you an opportunity to examine your own reasoning. But if questions immediately feel like challenges to your authority, you may start treating curiosity as disrespect. That's when something interesting happens. You stop explaining your ideas and start defending them. A strong thinker doesn't have to know every answer. They can simply say, I'm not sure. Let me think about that. Being questioned shouldn't automatically feel like an attack. Sometimes, a question isn't trying to prove you wrong. It's simply giving you a chance to think more deeply. 4. You lack curiosity. Think about the last time you came across something you didn't understand. Did you want to know more, or did you simply move on? Curiosity is one of the strongest forces behind learning. Curious people naturally ask questions, explore unfamiliar ideas, and look for explanations. But when curiosity disappears, the mind can become comfortable with not knowing. And that's where the problem begins. Someone can spend years believing the same things, doing the same things, and surrounding themselves with the same opinions without ever asking, is there something I'm missing? Intelligence isn't about knowing everything. It's about having enough curiosity to realize how much you still don't know. Because the moment you stop asking questions, you also reduce the number of opportunities you have to learn something new. 5. You jump to conclusions without evidence. Have you ever heard half a story and immediately decided you knew the whole thing? Someone doesn't reply to your message, and you assume they're angry. Someone looks at you differently, and you decide they don't like you. You hear one person's version of an argument, and suddenly you've already chosen who is right and who is wrong. The problem is that your brain doesn't like uncertainty. When information is missing, it naturally tries to fill in the blanks. But there's a huge difference between what you know and what you assume. A strong thinker can sit with uncertainty and say, I don't have enough information yet. But when you constantly turn assumptions into facts, you stop investigating. You react to your interpretation instead of reality. And this can affect everything. Your relationships, your decisions, your arguments, even the way you judge other people. The next time you catch yourself thinking, I already know what happened, pause for a second. Ask yourself, do I actually know this? Or did my brain just create a story? Because sometimes, intelligence isn't about having the answer quickly. It's knowing when you don't have enough information to answer at all. 6. You talk more than you listen. Have you ever been in a conversation with someone who seems to be waiting for their turn to speak, rather than actually listening? You finish one sentence, and they immediately jump in with their own story. You try to explain something, and they interrupt. You tell them something important, and somehow the conversation ends up being about them. Talking a lot isn't a sign of low intelligence. Some intelligent people are naturally very talkative. The revealing part is an inability to listen. Listening requires you to temporarily put your own thoughts aside and make room for someone else's perspective. And here's something interesting. If you're always talking, you're constantly expressing what you already know. But when you listen, you have the opportunity to discover something you don't know. That's why intelligent people can be surprisingly comfortable saying less. They ask questions, they observe, they let other people finish their thoughts, because they understand something many people forget. You can't learn anything new while you're busy proving how much you already know. 7. You see everything in black and white. Some people see the world in extremes. Someone is either good or bad. A person is either smart or stupid. An argument is either completely right or completely wrong. There is no middle ground. But real life is rarely that simple. People can be right about one thing and wrong about another. Someone can make a terrible decision and still be a good person. And two people can disagree while both having valid points. This is where nuance becomes important. Strong thinking allows you to hold two seemingly opposite ideas at the same time. You can say, I disagree with this person, but I understand why they think that way. You can recognize that a situation is complicated instead of forcing it into a simple category. When you constantly reduce complicated situations to black or white, you may be making thinking easier, but not necessarily making it more accurate. Because sometimes, the truth isn't on one side or the other. Sometimes, the truth is somewhere in between. 8. You try to sound intelligent instead of actually being intelligent. Have you ever heard someone use complicated words, elaborate explanations, and impressive-sounding phrases, yet when they're finished talking, you realize they haven't actually said anything? They sound intelligent, but listen closely, and there's no clear point underneath all those words. This is sometimes called word salad, using complicated language without communicating a clear idea. And there's an important difference between sounding intelligent and thinking intelligently. Someone who genuinely understands a difficult subject can often explain it in a simple way. They don't need to confuse you to prove they know something. But when someone is more focused on appearing intelligent than understanding the subject, complexity can become a disguise. They may use words they barely understand, avoid simple explanations, or make straightforward ideas unnecessarily complicated. And here's the irony. The harder someone tries to look intelligent, the easier it can become to notice when they aren't actually saying anything. Real intelligence doesn't need to perform. It can explain it, can listen, it can admit uncertainty. And sometimes, the smartest thing someone can say is simply, I don't know. Now, if you recognize yourself in some of these habits, don't take it as an insult. Because here's the important thing. Having one of these habits doesn't mean you're unintelligent. We all get defensive. We all jump to conclusions. We all speak without thinking sometimes. The real question is whether these behaviors have become patterns. Can you admit when you're wrong? Can you change your mind when the evidence changes? Can you listen without immediately preparing your response? Can you say, I don't know, without feeling embarrassed? Because intelligence isn't simply about knowing a lot. It's also about being willing to learn, question yourself, and change. And perhaps the most intelligent thing you can do is recognize a weakness in the way you think and decide to work on it. So, which of these habits did you recognize in yourself? Be honest. And if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to Everything Psychology for more fascinating insights into the way people think, behave, and see the world. You might understand yourself a little differently after the next video.